Mandalorian's back. Thank you for waiting on my video for episode 1 of season 2 of The Mandalorian. It's November, so I do it now. Would have felt weird doing it in October. I was still in horror movie mode. You know, you can't be out of season on these things. Also, spoilers. The only way I can talk about this episode is with spoilers. In fact, every episode of The Mandalorian I talk about is going to have spoilers, but I'll remind you every time. So season 2 of Mando is hit, Mando is back, and here's the premise, here's the gist. Mando goes to Tatooine, gets some help from not Boba Fett on Tatooine, and he needs to convince these two factions who hate each other to work together. That's it. And I gotta say, it was a great reintroduction to the world of The Mandalorian. It was a great massaging us back into that which is a galaxy far, far away, but a very personal one person's POV look into that seedy ass underworld. So yeah, our friend Mando gets word that there is a Mandalorian on Tatooine, in which we were all like, at least I was. I was like, what? Boba Fett. Then you see this dude, this Boba Fett, and you're like, that is not Boba Fett. It looks like someone wearing their brother's clothes that don't fit them, but they're doing it to make themselves look cooler. It was what it looked like. Clearly it wasn't Boba Fett, but could still be a Mandalorian. Then dude tells Mando, hey, let's go have a drink, which I thought that was actually, that could be a very clever Mandalorian litmus test. Like if two Mandalorians meet and they don't know if they're actually Mandalorians, one of them could be like, hey, the real Mandalorian could be like, hey, let's have a drink together. If the other one takes off their helmet, they could be like, you're not a Mando. You take that armor off right now. Turns out the one who offered the drinks takes off the helmet. At first I was like, that's not Pierce Brosnan. No, it's Timothy Olyphant, but I still had young Scream 2 Timothy Olyphant in my mind. Dude looks like Pierce Brosnan-ish. But yeah, Mando's not having it. He was like, take that armor off right now. You're not actually a Mandalorian. And basically there's this crate dragon that's terrorizing this town. So dude's like, look, I'll give you this armor if you just help us defeat this thing, because I love the armor, and the armor gave this guy the opportunity to protect this town. He strolls up in town with this badass Mandalorian armor after the Empire fell, and you know, there's that power vacuum, and so all these factions come in like, hey, we own the town now. So this dude with his newly found Mandalorian Boba Fett armor is like, I'm gonna take these guys out and I'm gonna protect the town. But he does care about the town. I actually appreciate that. Dude's like, I'll give you this armor. I love the armor, but I love the people of this town more. That was a cool moment for him, because not everyone would do that, man. Like, I mean, shoot, I played Star Wars Galaxies vanilla. It's hard to get armor that looks like Boba Fett. I'd be like, I mean, people of this town are cool and all, but took me a while to get this. Come on. That might be another reason I like this episode, is because when I played Star Wars Galaxies, like old school Star Wars Galaxies, otherwise known as the Star Wars grind among my friends and I spent all my time at Tatooine. I was a bounty hunter, and that's where I roleplayed. I RP'd there. Kind of wild. That game had so much to offer, and Tatooine, that was home. So the people of this town have to team up with Tusken Raiders, who also want this crate dragon dead. And so they're like, hey, we don't like each other, but it's one of those classic enemy of my enemy kind of scenarios, in which I have to think one of them on the Tusken side or the town folk side were like, wait a minute, I played Breath of the Wild. Once you get this fight down, it's pretty easy. Someone had to have at least seen a Let's Play, but that's pretty much the boss fight. They're trying to lure this crate dragon out, trying to blow it up from underneath, and just thinking, I thought it was isolated to sands, because like, oh, mountain rock, that's just too tough. No, you can go up through the mountains too. Things like Josh Gad in that shitty Artemis Fowl movie. But all that is to say, that simple, enjoyable premise of, hey, we have a problem, Mando needs to fix it, and he brings these two warring factions together to fight the bigger problem. I enjoyed it, because that's what Mandalorian is, you know? It took me a while in season 1 to really come to grips with like what is, because you hear Mandalorian, you're like, oh, there's Mandalorian lore, Mandalorian and Jedi lore, and it really is this episodic point of view of this one person traversing the post-Civil War era of this galaxy far, far away. But it's not galaxy scale, you know? It feels smaller, which that episodic formula isn't new to Star Wars. Clone Wars series, we're talking old school Clone Wars series with the Samurai Jack animation. Season 1 of that was very episodic, but it was still this large galactic war going on, so it felt bigger. Mandalorian feels smaller, more personal, and when I accepted that, I was like, oh yeah, this show is fun. Granted, season 2, episode 1 says it's chapter 9, so it's supposed to feel like, oh, this arc that goes up And then to chapter 8, this is the next one, chapter 9, but it doesn't feel like that to me. Because like chapter 7, chapter 8, Moff Gideon, Darksaber, and then chapter 9, all right, we're back on Tatooine and we're dealing with this local problem. Which I'm totally fine with. I'm just saying it feels more like season 2, episode 1 than chapter 9 as a whole. This episode does have a couple of member berries, which Star Wars is kind of known for at this point. The member berry moments are Boba Fett's armor. That's an easy one. You know, it's Boba Fett's armor, so of course. But that does play into the end, and that actually is really intriguing stuff. The fact that the sheriff's speeder bike is Anakin's pod racer repurposed to be his speeder bike. I'm like, what are the odds of that? R5 still has the damage on his head from his bad motivator from Star Wars A New Hope. I mean, those Easter eggs and throwbacks are cool and all. I don't want the show to get buried under them, you know? It already has a compelling lead character, and it's already an interesting show. I don't want to feel like I'm tuning in to have the showrunners inundate me with these nostalgic moments to try to keep me on the hook. I'm already there. That said, glad R5 isn't dead. Then in the end, you see the back of someone's head. I'm like, holy shit, it's Tamara Morrison, and it is, which means Boba Fett. I don't know when Boba Fett's going to resurface in this season. It could be at the end of the season. It could be the next episode. I don't know. But dude definitely has his eye on the Mandalorian and it's Boba Fett. So I just have a feeling he's gonna find him. And now's the part where we theorize. All right, so Boba Fett's helmet has that, it looks like a bullet ding in it, like something point blank shot him. What are the odds Boba Fett has amnesia? What are the odds? What's the over-under? What? I'm 50-50 right now, to be honest with you, because amnesia is just such a thing shows do. Also, are we just gonna breeze over the fact that we saw Boba Fett without his helmet? That's a pretty big deal. I don't know, it was like when I was growing up and all I had was the original trilogy, everyone was theorizing like, what's he look like? And then after the prequels, we knew that he would look like Jango Fett. So now we knew, but we didn't actually see Boba Fett, the guy, actually without his helmet. I mean, we saw him as a kid without his helmet. So now it's like, I saw adult Boba Fett without his helmet for the first time on screen ever. It's just like, and it happened now. I guess that's that. All right, cool. All I know is I'm glad Boba Fett is Tamara Morrison. I'm glad Tamara Morrison came back for Boba Fett. As simple as that is, and as logical as that is, I mean, that does come down to whether or not the actor wants to do it. So I'm glad he said yes. I like the simple premise of this episode. It was a good reintroduction to the world of The Mandalorian. Bring on those Baby Yoda memes, folks. Most of all, I like the message that two sides that absolutely positively do not like each other can come together and work together. Let's all keep that in mind after tomorrow, also known as November 3rd. Da, 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 da. I feel like the lesson of this episode hitting this week was a conscious effort, very purposefully done. All right, so Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Whatever you thought, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.